Hi, welcome to Conversations with Ola. This is a space for real talk about life, about choices, growth, direction, career, and of course, business. Here, there is no scripts, no pressure, just honest conversations with people who are learning to figure things out, building, learning, and becoming better every day. Joining me today is a wonderful friend, a wonderful brother. I mean, I've known him for maybe 17, 15, 16, 17 years now. And I've seen him grow from one level of success to another. And I mean, it's awesome getting him on this podcast today to share about his journey, his challenges, and pretty much about his life. So welcome with me today, your Deji Adeshola, popularly known as Sky. Welcome, Sky.
Yeah.
So we'll give it back to you and then
Th-
you introduce yourself. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ola. Yeah, my name is Deji Adishola. You call me Deji. Most people call me Sky too, but yeah, Deji is preferable.
What do you mean Deji is preferable? Okay. So a lot of people call you Sky.
Yeah,
What is the story behind that name?
yeah. I mean, if you asked me 2 years ago, I would have said I prefer Sky, but corporate wise, I'm moving to Deji now. But for the past 20 years, more than 20 years, yeah, it's more than 20 years now. I've always gone by Sky, and I've only told few people the origin of the name. I think it was a pivotal point in my life. That was when I was in secondary school back in Nigeria. Yeah, I've always been the average person growing up. My school system had this system where there's merits, there's average, and there's special. So merits, of course, are the ones that do well in school, and average, you all know what average is. And I was on that average, like I was in that average class for more than 3 years, from JS3, SS1, SS2, and then SS2. I think my dad gave me called Eat That Frog. I think that was what changed my life forever. I read that book and my life changed, and I saw myself in another light. I saw myself as someone that can do better, and I started putting more effort. I believed in myself, started putting more effort in what I was doing. And the next year, I got into the merit class, and then the first class. Our biology teacher asked me that, Ayodeji, this is your first time in merit class. Like, how did that happen? And the only word that came out of my mouth was, yeah, right now I'm shooting for the sky. I'll always be in the sky. And someone at the back, those people that used to sit at the back, someone at the back was like, yeah, sky. Yeah, he's a sky boy now. I was like, oh my God. And then that name just stuck. And someone said Sky Boy, Sky Boy. The fact I was stop, I tried to make them not call me that name, but the more I forced it, the more it stuck. And I thought that was over. I was like, okay, I'm leaving secondary school. That was it. Unfortunately, I first pursued UME in Futa. I met one of my classmates there. And then the first thing she shouted was, Sky Boy. I was like, oh my God, not again. I already started telling people my name is Ayo, my name is Ayo. Unfortunately, I couldn't there. My co-founder, he was in that gathering. He heard the name Skyboy. And I was thinking, okay, I didn't get admission into FUTA. That was it. Ima, on the other hand, he applied for OOU as a second choice. And I was about entering the posterior middle school hall. And I did start hearing, I know that someone said, Skyboy, Skyboy. I was like, please, I hope this is not, I'm not a boy. Why are you? God, I was so angry. Who is this person calling me? That name, that voice. Like, I grew up in Port Harcourt. My school was in Port Harcourt. I was like, who in Port Harcourt came
No,
from my school to Olabisi Onabanjo University? I was like, no, it's not me. It's not me. I just kept walking. And then I sat down on my desk and the person just came and jumped on me. I was like, I've been calling you. I've been calling you. I was like, oh my God. And we wrote the exam together and both of us passed. And he just stuck with the name Skyboy. Everybody Skyboy. I tried to stop it, but I couldn't stop it.
so it's
And
fair to say that it's your co-founder that broadcasted the name across the world.
exactly, yes, exactly. So instead of forcing people to stop saying it Skyboy, I started saying Skyboss. So that's why people started calling me Skyboss. I was like, okay,
Boss.
that must looks much better. So
Amazing, amazing story. Amazing story. So what was growing up like? You mentioned that you grew up in Port Harcourt and then you had to write post-UME in Akure first and then Olabisi Onabanjo.
Mhm.
Were you from a rich background? Were your parents comfortable? What were your social vices as a kid? Pretty much what was growing up like for you?
Hmm. I wouldn't say we were not rich. We were we were nearly comfortable. And we were not very poor, but at least we could eat this 3 times in a day. But it wasn't like what I expected. Growing up, I think the early days of my life, yeah, my dad had money, and when I got to SS1, just 3, just 1, he was a chartered accountant. So we grew up with lots of money, and let's say just 3. I think he fell sick, and then he said God called him to ministry. Like I was mad. Like he had to quit his job and join full-time church where they were not paying him. So he just went. So we went from kids that could afford things to kids that could afford things. Yeah, it was tough because we were living on a teacher's salary, very minute. Yeah, I think I experienced both, but yeah, it was a little bit rough. And I think, yeah, I think that's just part of what shaped me. So, yeah, not too poor, but yeah, it was my dad decided to go to become a pastor.
So is that why you don't want to be a pastor? Because once in a while,
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't deny that fact. At the point I was angry with God. I mean, I grew up, I think my early, I can remember those of my, like, before just what just, so I said I needed something that would get me. That my dad had nice cars, he dropped me in school and everything just changed. I just felt like, how we got, and I've always been that logical person right from when I was growing up. My mom just always says, I don't know how you just think. I'm always logical. Like, but as young as I was trying to explain to them that it doesn't make sense, and but it is what it is.
so what is your fondest memory of what you can remember from your childhood?
I think yeah, I think the memory that can never go away was the year before I got admission. I was supposed to go into I was supposed to get admission into photo. My dad really wanted me to be an electrical engineer, so I like the then. I was supposed to get admission into photo. And then by that time, things started picking up a little bit, and we could afford some things a little like more than like 2 years before that. And we just needed to pay someone in 20,000 naira, and it was nothing. But my dad was like, nope, I'm not gonna. My dad was a strict man of God. He was like,
20,000 for what?
just to pay someone. Like I already passed everything. I passed the pussy. They just needed 20,000 to bribe someone to just
Okay.
make, yeah, just to get into the list. He insisted no. And yeah, and I thought he was joking. In fact, that made me hate God the more. My friends were entering at the university. I was bad. And then he came home one of the days, and I think he had about 100 and well around $120,000. Sorry, I'm used to naira. 120,000 naira on him cash, and then he gave me that money and told me to go register in a SAT school like SAT school, and I think he was trying to prove to me that it's not like he didn't have the money, but you know,
It wouldn't, it doesn't,
that's just
it didn't.
he wouldn't compromise. Yeah, yeah, he wouldn't compromise. And he told me if I really want to go to school the next year, I have to sit my ass down and work hard and make sure that we don't need to bribe anybody to get to school. I went to register for this SAT class. It's his class. It was really to send me to go school abroad. There was no that money was not there, but he just needed to just prove that um his principles is his principles, and try to let me know that when you work hard, you don't need favors from man. You just need favor from God. And so, I mean, I learned some things there. Like it's really, and I really did work hard. I like it was the next year I got into university. I really did work hard. So I think
So
so that work hard
if you had to tell or let people know one lesson that you learned from that experience, what would it be?
you just be a person of principle and don't let anything take you away from that. If you believe in something that works for you, just stick by it, and things will definitely come around. And just that one thing.
So were you glad that he, took
Yes,
that
definitely.
stance at the time?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I would not be here. I would have studied the have elected later. Yeah, I really, because I took that year. I read enough. Like I took that, that ethic to school to, like, coming back. I think I told you my story about how I've always been that average kid on the block. Like, I just don't pay attention to things growing up. And my SS2, I read that book, Eat That Frog. And then this happened again, and I put in more work. Then I just believe that, look, like, if you really want to be something in life, if you really want results, you have to put the work in.
Yeah, put
There's a
it,
God
put it in.
factor. Yeah. There's a God factor, no doubt, but if there's no work, what's God gonna bless? Like, you just have to work hard. So that really helped me a lot. And
Awesome.
I still tell my dad that story.
So how did you traveling to India come about, and what did you go to India for?
Yeah, I think that was 2013.
So this was before you go into Olabisi Onabanjo.
No. It was after. That was immediately I came back from my 2013. So I think I finished 2011. Then I went for the service 2011, 2012. Yeah, then I came back and then I started working, and say I was working in Hugo Host. I've always been, what will I say, I'm trying not to make it negative, trying to find the word. I've always seen myself that I could be the best. Um, I've had so many, those two stories I gave you are just some of the times in my life where I've challenged myself. So when I find myself in a new environment and I'm in something new, I want to make sure that I'm the best at it. Like, when I got into Who Ghost, I remember someone asking me when I was at my 100 level, I was going to another campus, and asking me, in 5 years from now, where are you going to be? And I told the person that I'm going to own one of the biggest computer company in Nigeria. I didn't know what that meant, but that kind of drove me. I'll still tell my story of how I came into software.
Yeah,
But
we'll
going
get
back
there.
to going back to your question. So I worked at Google for a little bit, and I saw the things they were doing, and I told myself, I don't just want to be someone that just writing code for these people. Like, next 5 years, where will I be? And I told myself, no, I want to be better than what I do. So I met with the co-founder where that period, and he's still my friend. He founded Jobama. And I met him one day, and I just said I wanted to meet with him. I just, what's wrong with this guy? I told him that, look, I appreciate the effort, I appreciate the employment, but I'm kind of that person that I need more. Like, I don't see myself, writing code in the next 2 years. I will definitely write, but I want to do more. And then he's like, but you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the skills to do this. But, like, do you know how to telnet into a server? Do you know how to, troubleshoot a server? Do you know how, that time they would not have Udemy, it was CDs we buy in Keja, profitability. YouTube was not rampant, it was there, but it wasn't giving me what I wanted. There were no schools. I went to, before India, I went to, what's this school?
NIT,
Horizon.
New Horizon. I
I
did
went
go
to
to New Horizon
NIT.
too. I went to
Exactly.
NIT, I did New Horizon. The
I
third
was
one was
going to
Aptech.
those, yes, yeah, but I didn't go to Aptech. I went to those two, and I just still didn't feel that. I was like, I'm not still feeling. I thought like something was still missing inside. And I said, okay, I want to learn from the best. And I just went to my browser and I just typed the best IT school for server management in the world. Yeah. And I did that. And I saw some, but that one kind of stuck to me. I've forgotten the name of that. And it was quite expensive. Like, it was quite expensive. I told myself, okay, what do I need to get there? And my dad didn't have the money. Like, so why doing who goes? I picked up another job. I was like doing two jobs at the same time. It was tough. I only slept like 4 hours in a day. But I knew what I wanted. I saved enough. I was doing what Ajo, that period. So you know what Ajo is. So I was
Yeah.
saving like more than half of my salary.
Let's clarify that for our foreign listeners. Our
Yes.
joy is contribution. It means that a
Contribution.
few people will come together, and then they would pool resources together and will give it to one person like every
Yeah,
month. So
exactly.
10 people will come
Yeah,
together, will contribute like 100,000, or in today's currency, let's say $1,000. 10 people will
yeah,
come together and then will contribute 1,000 and then give 10,000 to one person for the first month.
yeah.
And then the rest will contribute again and give to the second
For the
person
second,
10,000 until the last person take. That's, I
yeah,
think there's actually a fintech built around that concept too. I think the
yes, yes.
Susu is
Now,
around that concept. So
yeah,
that's what
yeah,
contribution is.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
you can go ahead, just go to explain that.
Yeah, so I think we were about 12 or yeah, and I decided I was going to take last. I was going to come last. So I was just sending my money every month and making that contribution. And then I had the money. I think it was naira to dollar conversion was pretty good that period. And I just got the money. I could have bought a nice car. I could have bought like land or I could have been a big boy, but like, no, I paid. It was huge. I paid for that course, paid for my flights, went down to India, sat down with one of the best people that period. And then he taught me every like server management. Yeah. And I came back to work. And I was like, okay, I think I know more than even then person that was in charge. They wanted to make me the CTO of the company, of Google's because of that degree I had. And like, okay, I know everything now. Why not I just start my own company?
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get to a place where you founded the company, but I
Yeah,
guess that is it fair to say that you value knowledge more than physical assets? Because today most people actually, rather invest in, physical assets, buy
yeah,
cars, buy land, buy a house. And then,
yeah,
they get to a point in their career where they just play two. They can't go up and they're not really going down, but they stay very long on that state just because, I mean, there's really no additional knowledge to add to what they're doing. So is it fair to say that you value knowledge?
definitely, definitely. And I can tell you, while I was in university, I like was doing lots of business by the side with school, and I would make some money. And if you came into my room when I was in university, you'd be like, this guy must be crazy because I was making money and I just had a bed on the floor. I didn't have a TV. I didn't have any nice thing. In fact, my room was like one of the worst among my friends. They didn't like coming to visit me. But that money, I would go to a place in Nigeria where they sell this computer, this, and then I'll buy lots of those things. I'll buy HTML. I always want to know how to do something new. Like I'm just so I'll buy all those things and I'll come and weekends I'll put it in my computer deck. In fact, that period I didn't even have a computer. I was using my roommate's computer. And I'm going to put it in and I'm going to watch and watch. And I just get excited when I do something new and I push it online and I see it like it was an amazing experience. Yes, to answer your question, I prefer knowledge than buying things that I know is gonna go away in a few
Awesome.
years.
So before we delve into the academic section, I knew that there was a time where you also prioritized music and you became a rap artist at the time. How did you get into music? And why did you stop? Was it because you didn't get popular or nobody was buying your music? How did you get into music in the first place?
Yeah, so I mean, it still boils down to when I was, trying to make sure that I knew I was not gonna be average when I was growing up. I was trying to find that, that child. I tried several things, like I tried a lot of things, but when I tried music, I had lots of people back then that I looked up to. Was this one guy, Nick, well, I grew up in the south part of Nigeria, Nigaro, I forgot. So those guys were like my mentors when I was growing up. And when MI came into this limelight, and I'm someone that I'm creative. In fact, yeah, um, I've written songs for people recently that they use. I'm very creative. When I'm meditating, I think several things. So when it comes to writing, I was good at writing. I had someone when I was in secondary school that I wrote for the guys. I had the book. I was going to write lyrics for him, and he goes. In fact, he released some of his songs, and then my selfish self again. I was like, okay. And sometimes I like when it comes to my development, I just want to do things. I was like, man, I've been writing songs for people. How about I just going to write something for myself, which I did. I wrote a few of them, I sang them. I went to the studio once. But yeah, I just knew that that was for me actually. Um, and I think computer took more. If I had not gone into computer, maybe I would have been a musician. But the joy that I was getting from coding, I think codes, I didn't get that from the fulfillment. I didn't get that from music, and I just tried it for a year, and I was like, okay, I just need to go back to what I love. So I saw writing code as joy. I
So
didn't see it
the
as
question from that is,
yeah.
did you start computer engineering first before you delved into music, or you found music first before that?
Music first, but not singing, but writing. Like I was a songwriter. So I
Okay.
wrote, yeah, and I listened to music a lot. So I music first before computer. Then
Uh,
I saw that.
At the beginning of this conversation, you mentioned that your dad wanted you to study electrical engineering. How did that switch to computer engineering? What changed? How did you find that you had interest
Mm,
in computers rather than electrical
yeah.
engineering that your dad wanted?
Yeah, so I think it was when I was in my secondary school. It was called SS2 then, and we had a computer class. And then so we had just about five computers in the whole school, and someone would come and we had a computer teacher, so we were taking turns to go into the computer room. So the first time I came across the computer, that time it was you use a disk, put it
Desktop.
again. Yeah, so this blue disk, slot it in, and I think I wrote my name is this, and then I save it. You can write to the disk and take it out and put it back in, and then you type what is my name, and it brought up my name. I was like, that was the spark. Like, wait, what just happened now? How did it happen? I remember I was always going back to meet my computer teacher. I needed to know what happened. Like, you must explain what happened. Like, how did it know? And then I started, that time internet started coming up. I had my dad's phone. I was like, how did these people put things together that someone else will see? So I was always that curious person. I open things a lot. I open my dad's radio box. I just needed to know what happened. Computer was just that for me. And it's like, okay, I needed to know how this works. And that was it for me. And when I got admission into computer engineering, I just knew that, yes, that was what I wanted to do.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So there is a situation in Nigeria, and I think across the world as well, that really doesn't inform the fact that you study a course, you actually work with that course. Sometimes we
Yeah.
study courses, but we find our interest in something else after school. Why did you choose to venture into tech? School. Was there a
Hmm.
turning point in your life on campus that made you decide, look, this is what I'm going to do for work, or this is going to be my career path? What informed that decision, and why did you decide to just, venture into tech?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think at that point, I didn't see it as I don't know if I could have identified or labeled it as a career. Even right from my 100 level, I think we did a course in computer science. So I didn't see myself as, I knew I was going to have computer. I knew that I was going to do computer stuff, but I was saying all those things because of like my curiosity or because I really can't explain it, but I just wanted to know how things work. So the point for me to stick to computer engineering, and mind you, I did computer engineering, but what I'm doing right now, I don't think it's good. It's actually a computer engineering, but of course they taught us some little things, computer science. So for me, it's not. I saw it as something I loved doing. I remember when I first did my Hello World and it worked. I wrote the code and I could refresh my browser and I see. I told myself that I was going to learn how to do more. And that period, I don't think computer web designer or software engineers were making money. Like there was no role per se that, oh, this is a software engineer. Everybody wanted to do become a medical doctor, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineer. Like those were the prominent roles. So it was not like, oh, I wanted to be, I just wanted to do my thing and just do what I love. And that was where I found myself. Luckily for me, what I chose, there are some people that went into other career paths and it didn't work out. Lucky for me, what I chose started fetching me money in university. I paid my way through college, through university. I paid my way through school, and I was doing a lot of projects, and I'll say I was lucky with hard work. Yeah, so it's not as straightforward as it's not something I foresaw that it was going to be something big. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I was stubborn at it.
That makes sense. That makes sense. The question I wanted to ask again is that is school a scam? Some people
No,
think that well, going to school is a scam. I mean, what we study in school is cannot really be translated to real life situations or real life experiences. In your own thoughts, is school a scam? And if you support
no,
yes or
school,
no,
yeah,
why?
yeah. The school is not a scam. I think school is, going through school. Apart from the little knowledge you learn, I think it's the test you go through, the exam you go through. You being able to conform to a system, you being able to say, I'm willing to let go. Everybody don't want to do hard work. Like most people don't want to do hard. But for you to say, look, I'm in a system where these are the rules and regulations. For me to leave this system, I must do this and that. For me to be able to say, okay, I've graduated for this. If you can be able to put yourself in that environment and you don't need, and just come out. You really don't need to come out with a very excellent grade. But for you to pass through that, I think that's the first lesson in life. You're going to find yourself in jobs. You're going to find yourself owning your business if you cannot conform to an organized, if you cannot conform to a school system, I don't see conform to an organization. So that is just one. You've been able to conform. Then also, my mom used to tell me that there's no knowledge gained that is wasted. And that's one thing I've always known. Like there's no knowledge gained. There's something you're definitely gonna learn while in school that you're gonna use in the future. You might study biology and you're currently a software engineer, but I'm telling you, there's something someone must have said or your lecturer must have said, or educational or non-educational wise, that you're gonna use that word or that bit of knowledge in your future. So for me, school is not it's definitely not a scam, and I'm here today because I really went through the system and I know what it takes.
That makes sense. That will bring us now to your founding experience as a founder, the experience as a founder
Yeah.
and your startup experience. How did you come about your first company and why did you set that up? How did that go? And what were some of the challenges that you faced as a first time founder at the time?
I know most people know that okay, Host Now is like my first startup, but to me it wasn't. Before then, I think I've started like three different businesses. I tell people that if you can be able to organize an event and then you have people show, you have a goal and you do everything, you come up with the management, like you make sure that people attend. You have found that spirit within you one way or the other. But let's go back to the question. While I was still at school, I found myself in the midst of people that didn't know what I knew because of the extra time I put in learning things outside of school. So when people go for parties, I'm home with my computer and my disc learning. And then one thing I learned from that book called It's That Frog was the essence of value. Like if you can be able to get value and sell it and make someone wants to pay for that value, that's business. Like that's a transaction there. So I found myself amongst people that didn't want to put the time. And I was like, okay, I'm going to put the time. I have the value. I'm going to sell it to you. And then I started doing my computer school. And, people come. If I had a website, you can go, you book, and I'm going to train you. In fact, I did a training that the whole school coordinated, and I made a lot of money
As a student,
from that because as a student, I, I, so I wanted to do it somewhere, and my department head said, "You know all these things. Like, why don't you teach everybody?" Even my my lecturer didn't know what I knew, and then he said, "You wanted to charge? I think I wanted to charge 5,000 naira, but that day." So can you charge 1,000 naira and I'm going to make sure that everybody attends that training. I was like, okay, if I had 10 people, that's 50,000. And then in my department of 120 people, oh, okay. And that was it. I did my first training. My lecturer forced everybody. And that was the first time I saw that exchange of
Right.
value with currency. And I was like, wow, okay. So all I just need to do is to have that value also. And then I started upskilling, right? I started learning graphics. I started learning different things. In fact, my 400 level, I started doing projects for people. 400 level is the fourth year, and my school was like 5 year system. So I started doing projects. I would go to someone that was doing his project in 500 level. That was the final year. And I'll tell them, I can help you build a final year project. And then you're going to pay me this amount of money. Because I knew they were just lazy. Uh, I think I did for about 6 people, and it was a huge amount of money. So that was when I started my first business. Then after that, I decided, okay, I wanted to go big scale. I started building schools, software for schools, software for hospitals, and then I went for my youth service. I shut that down. I decided to go into, I wanted to see how it worked, corporate world, worked for Google's, let us see how things were. And when I had that experience, I was like, I need to start going back to create value and getting currency in exchange. And yeah, and that was how Hosanna came. So I knew server management, I knew how to spin up servers, just buy a server of $100, and in a month I can get people to pay me up to $500 for that server. That's a $400 profit, and that's how I've always thought. Yeah, yep. I know I spend more time on that, but
Yeah, that's okay.
that was how the business came.
So, how did you raise the first funding? Because I know that a lot of first-time founders today would always complain about funding as a reason why they didn't scale or they didn't even start in the first place. In your situation, how
Hmm.
were you able to raise, funding to get started when for your first real startup?
Yeah, for my first restart of host now, I think it's still the ability to tell the story of value that you're bringing in. I had people that knew more than I knew at that point in time, but I decided I was going to, meet people that have the money and let them see the value that I have and the art of storytelling. And then told them, okay, let's do a trial. And most of them knew I went to India. So I came back, I had offer from that company that wanted to hire me. And I went to these people they call them Pertinence Group in Nigeria. But then they were not Pertinence Group. And I knew that some money work was coming out. I told them, look, I just came back from India. This is what I know. I can spin up a server. In fact, I already started. Yeah, I think I already started. Yeah, I already started. And I was paying for one server and I showed them that, look, I'm paying for this server. I think it's almost $100 and I'm making this amount of money, right? Imagine if I can have a bigger server, maybe have like 3 or 5, we can spin this up and I can be
Five
making
times, 10
X
times.
amount of money. Exactly. That was just storytelling. And they were like, okay. And they saw it because even their own website, I hosted their website.
Okay.
I even decided to design their website for free. And they saw the value and they were like, okay, you want to start your own business. They told me I shouldn't take the offer that I had. They were going to fund me and they asked me how much do I need. They provided office space and I told them, and that's how I got the funding for the first
So, what
business.
was just one or two major challenges that you faced as a first time founder in Nigeria? What would you say were the major challenges that you experienced?
You said one or two.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a ton of those. I know there's always huge challenges for
Please,
startups in
yeah,
a country
if
like Nigeria, but
yeah,
just I mean for the sake of time, maybe one or two.
I mean, right now I think it's a little better, but if I wanted to talk about challenges the next 30 minutes, I'm not going to be done here. I think the first one was institutional funding. Was it's very rough. I know I said a story about me trying to sell the business, but when I did that, I wanted to scale, went to meet banks. I couldn't even get a loan. That's just it. So institutional funding it's very poor I don't know if it's better now. I think another thing is power. Yeah, power was very poor back then. Then I think another thing was that made it tough for us was when offering same service as foreign companies. The same, like the kind of service you offer, you have to do more to let people come to you than go to your competitors that are like in the United States. So I think that was something we made sure. And when I was starting that business, I was like, I knew the technical bits, but I wanted to make sure that we had something different that people can get. And that was like same day customer service. And that's
A unique selling
human
point, a
touch.
unique
Exactly.
your
Yeah,
USP
my
that
unique selling.
made you very different
Yeah,
from.
exactly. So I was saying, look, same day customer service, same day, like you can reach us on the phone. So it was a challenge because I had to spend more money, but I mean that is what it is. So when it comes to challenges, what else? I think power, misuse of power. I had a funny story of me being arrested
Oh, really?
by the police force, yeah,
So wait.
which
Sorry to stop you. There are two kinds of power that I mentioned. There's an actual
yeah,
electricity, and then there's another power
yes,
that. So let's break it down so people understand
misuse.
what they're saying.
Okay, yes.
So
Yeah, you said
because when you
electrical, but
said
yeah,
power the first time, what clicked with me was
the
oh,
first time,
electricity.
yeah, that was
Because I mean, we don't have like
yes,
24-hour. I think some parts of
yeah,
Nigeria, today has that, but not everywhere in Nigeria. I wanted you,
yeah,
let's stay a minute on that and just break that down.
yeah. So the first one was power, like
Okay.
electricity. Like we had to run on generator, like it was 18 hour month our profit. Yeah, when you don't have power, you're limited to some things. Like you can't even decide to. I remember I wanted to even have our own actual servers, but how can we do that? So that was a huge challenge for us. Most of our like 20%, 30% of our profit was going into electricity.
Okay. Now the second power that you were talking about.
Yeah, so the second one was like misuse of official power. Someone can just come to your office and
And lock you.
because they are lock you down. Yeah, it's it yeah, it was discouraging. I tell people that my goal was not to like if you had asked me a few years ago if I was gonna be in America, I would say no. Because I so believed in my country. I really wanted to make things right. But when I experienced things over here, it was just way too different. And going back to the misuse of official power or political power, and the story about me being arrested. Yeah, I just woke up one morning, came to the office, and then saw officials in my office, and they arrested like a couple of my staff members. What was the problem? Someone bought a domain, and then the person used it for fraudulent activities, and then the person didn't even host it with us, and
It was just the domain.
because of lack of knowledge on the part of the police force, the person that was affected decided to just arrest it. He just because he had power and he part a staff of ours was at the police station overnight.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, so um all those kind of things are discouraging. And when it comes to a place like this that is, more civil, you just say, look, I don't think I want to do business
Okay.
in Nigeria
Okay.
anymore.
That brings us to the next question.
Yeah.
Immigrating into the US, and why the US? I know for a fact because we've known for a very long time. You've been to other parts of the world. What informed the
Yeah.
choice or your choice of settling in the US, and how did that entire process go for you? Was it seamless?
Mhm.
People assume today
Mhm.
that when you come to the US, everything just gets rosy. Just give us a lowdown of what that experience was like for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely it was rough at the beginning. I've been, like you said, I've been to several countries. The United States, I think I had the turning point was when I went to the office of one of our server providers because in host now then we had server providers here that we kind of we sell their physical servers. So I went to the office during one of my visits, sat down with the co-founder, CEO, and then he was telling me a story of how it was a struggle. and like he tried and it was struggle for him. He could only secure $100,000 in funding, and I was like, I just
$100,000 in a struggle.
and he said this passionately, like the way he said it, I was feeling for him until he mentioned that
You're like,
figure.
you didn't even
I
raise
mean, now
2,000.
that and well, now I understand him because I've been here, but that kind of changed my whole thinking. Like, wait, what about 10,000? Are you saying you could have someone to give you $10,000 just investing without taking maybe your father's land or taking collateral? Like, I think that was turning, like I was like, okay, wait, I've been a person that I struggle, like I work hard enough. I try to do things, and if I see myself in that kind of environment where government supports, people support, I think I'm going to go far. And that was what drove that decision. I was like, okay,
Awesome. Awesome.
I think my environment was limiting
Right.
me. So that was what changed my whole yeah, changed everything, my perspective, and I was like, okay, I needed to be in an environment that supports people like us, founders like us, and then moved over. It was rough. I had some money, brought it over in less than 6 months. It was all gone. I had to support my family. I had to, like, before I got my Amazon job, some menial jobs I didn't believe that I could do. I did Uber a little for a while, but I mean,
So
when you
you
have a
you
family, you have
drove.
to do what you have to
Wait,
do.
you moved over here, and as a founder
Yeah,
in Nigeria that had 20 employees,
yeah, exactly,
you came over here, and then the money you brought from Nigeria finished in 6 months, and then you started doing menial jobs, or not really menial jobs.
exactly.
Don't
Yeah,
let's call it menial jobs, but you had to start
yeah, that's
driving
true.
for Uber.
Yeah, definitely. Yep,
And
yep.
I know this because I know we did our MBAs together. You were driving for
Yeah,
Uber with your MBA degree.
an MBA. Yeah, yep.
Oh wow. So what changed? How did you get your first job? And what was that process like?
Oh,
Because I think that some people, I can share my own story too, and I think that a lot of people's stories are also the same. You can apply for 2,000 jobs before you get your
yeah.
break. What was your story like getting your first job?
So I think when I moved over, I also had that stubborn mentality that, oh, I really want to build my own startup. I was going to build my own business, in a new environment that I knew nothing about. And I tried that for long and just wasn't working. I was like, okay, I've done this before, you know, when I was in Nigeria. I had to go work for a company and then it came out, I still did my own time. So I decided, okay, I think I need to go back to that. And I said, okay, I'm then pick up my CV and write my resume. But that period, I didn't even know what I wanted to. Who's going to hire a CEO with 0 years experience? I didn't want to write code. So I decided that I was going to
So, at what point were you able to transit into or transition into corporate America? What changed? What did you have to do? And how easy was it for you to be able to transition into corporate America?
yeah. Hmm, I, it's not a straightforward answer because I really wanted to still have my business, still run business. I was just stubborn about that, and after a few months, I decided that okay. In the past, I've gone through this part where I was working for a company, learned things, and came back to the business world. And that was when I decided, okay, let's just go do some work. And I didn't want to be a software engineer. I didn't want to write code. And who's going to employ someone who is going to employ me as a CEO with 0 years experience? So I think I found product management. A friend of mine told me about product management. It's like it's more of you being the CEO of a product. And I was like, okay, I decided to try that out. Did interviews. I think I did lots of interviews for more than 6 months. Maybe I think I applied to more than 3,000 jobs, way more than maybe up to 5,000. I did over 100 interviews. But as I kept doing these
You're
interviews, I
getting
kept
better.
learning. Yeah, I started getting better, started getting better. And then, fortunately for me, but I got two offers, one from Microsoft, got one from Amazon the same week. I saw them trying to out offer each other. And Microsoft was like, "Oh, don't worry, I will give you something better than Amazon." Amazon was like, "Oh, don't worry," and they kept adding. At the point, I just said, "Okay, I'm going for Amazon," and that was it.
Awesome. Awesome. So if you have worked here in Nigeria, and you also have, the American work experience, how would you describe the work culture of Nigerians in Nigeria today? Different from
Hmm.
the way we work in the US, and what advice would you give young folks in Nigeria to be able to, upskill and get better at what they do based off of your experience? I know that there are a lot of Nigerians also looking to getting jobs outside Nigeria, but they think that we
Yeah,
work the way Nigerians work, and it's very different. I know because I've
yeah.
also worked in both environments. But from your perspective, what would you, how would you describe the Nigerian work, culture, and what do they have to do to upskill or get better at delivering value to their jobs?
Yeah, I mean it's different. I've worked in Nigeria, I've employed people in Nigeria, and I've worked here in the US, I've employed people here in the US. So I know the difference, both from an employee standpoint and employer. My advice would be to be very thorough, also be a subject matter expert in whatever you're doing. Like you just can't be caught slacking. Like over here, it's like you have to put in the work, or like Nigeria where you can, ghost and, make excuses. Here you can make excuse about there's no light, so there's no power.
The
Oh,
internet.
my internet was bad. I couldn't have done it. Like back home in Nigeria, you could, lie under you know, these circumstances. But over here, you have everything, like you're good or you're bad. So you have to put time, you have to meditate. You just have to be that subject matter expert in whatever you want to do. They should be able to wake you up in the morning and ask you questions. You can tell them at the top of your head, at the top of your mind. And you have to put in a lot of work. For every role that you are occupying, there are hundreds of people applying for that role. And so you need to make sure that your manager doesn't second guess. Like they should be happy. You should be making your manager happy and say, okay, oh my, like if not for this person, I don't think I'll be able to run this this department that I'm running. So, and you should always, 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 always try to get your numbers right. Like work towards a number. Visibility is important. Everyone must know what you're working towards and try to, go above and beyond. So if you're trying to target, let's say, if you're a salesperson, you're trying to close 5 deals, try to close seven. If your goal is five, try to close seven. If you're a software engineer, you have tickets that you are assigned to, try to ask for more tickets. So, oh, I'm done with this. Can I have more tickets? Those kind of things put you in a very good
In other words, do
in a
the
very good
work and
spot.
get visibility and ensure that everybody can
Yeah,
also see how good that you are. Because sometimes you can actually be doing
exactly.
the work, but nobody knows that you are doing. Somebody has to take the
Exactly.
credit for the work that you're doing. That's amazing. So we just have like two, three more questions. And then
Mhm.
what are you doing right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a lot of things. I have like two, three startups right now. In one, Imagify, that's the main one. So we are helping businesses with compliance when it comes to hiring international talents, making sure that you're not fall victim of errors when it comes to, people working outside their business status, and also helping them give best actions for their employees so that it's going to help with retention, workforce retention and compliance. The second one I'm doing is, yeah, I think I've seen so much in the medical world where I see that there's shortage of long-term care workers because the baby boomers are going away. And whether you like it or not, the Gen Zs of nowadays are not ready to do the kind of work long-term care people are doing, especially over here. So the gap keeps increasing every day. So I'm trying to solve for that problem by bringing in people from Africa to come fill that gap. So that's called Afro Health. But those are the two major
Awesome.
projects I'm
Awesome. If you
working
had to
on.
recommend a book for our listeners or viewers, one book, which book would it be? I know you mentioned It's That Fraud, but is it going to be the same book or another?
Yeah. I mean, that I think that's just the best book I'm going to recommend. It's by Brian Tracy. So if you can read that book, I'm going to suggest. Like that's the book I recommend for everybody. It makes you get things done in less time. Like changes your perspective of things. But if you're already into that, then let me see what other book can I recommend. Um, hmm, I think this book by Zig Ziglar. Yeah, The Way to the Top. Yeah, that's my second most favorite book. Yeah, I think that those two books changed my life. Zig Ziglar's book was I remember I always carry it along every time. Zig Ziglar.
Awesome. Awesome. Final
Yeah.
question, and then we'll wrap it up. If you had to give your 20-year-old self advice, what advice is it going to be?
Hmm, that's a very, very good question. For my 20-year-old self. Okay. I think I think I would advise myself to, you know, spend more time with loved ones. I think that's
Hmm.
I think when I'm saying this in retrospective right now to when I was that age, I was always working and I think I lost a lot of relationships and even family. So yeah, I would advise myself to spend more time with, and I try to do that right now. I don't want to make that mistake I made growing up. I was not close with my siblings, and um, yeah, spend more time.
Awesome. Awesome. Amazing time connecting with you again,
Yeah,
Deji or Sky or Ayo, whichever you name. Really want to appreciate you spending time and sharing, your journey with us. And, I'm sure there's a lot of stories to
definitely.
actually learn from this session. Thank you so much for making time.
Yeah,
And to
sure.
our
Yeah,
audience and everyone who's watching, if you did enjoy this talk, this conversation, please share it with others or with someone who needs encouragement today. Remember that clarity comes with conversation and purpose grows when we show up. I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much. And
all
Tanaya,
right.
really
Thank you.
appreciate you making time. I'll see you. Thank you. And bye
Sure.
for now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.